Yeah.
Thank you, Winsler.
I just want to say to the people that brought the totem pole, this lady here opened the doors for me for LA when I first came. And I can recall those days because a lot of doors weren't opening. Even in my home, a lot of people questioned what I was doing. A lot of people didn't agree what I was doing. But I was persistent because of my mother. Because she carried the pains of what the people suffered from a long time ago. The unique thing about my mother was she was raised by her grandmother who came from the 1800s. And I think the other lucky thing that for me is being the youngest in the family of 7, that she can catch me and say, sit down, you're gonna listen. She couldn't catch my other brothers. So I had to sit there and listen to my mother. And on this journey, it brings me to the importance of people. For some reason, leaving San Carlos with our prayers, blessings, making our way what Leanne described, I thought about those who are gone. A lot of those people who stood up in the very beginning are gone. I wonder what it would be like if they were still here. When Vanessa brought up Ernest Victor, Ola Casador, and that part of my life, people would ask me, who are you? I would say, I'm the pooper scooper. Because we were making a lot of mistakes, but I had to make it look good. People ask me, what's a pooper scooper? I says, when the horses in the parade goes to the bathroom on the highway, somebody's got to clean it. So I also came as a young man into the tribal council. Tribal council was sending me to Washington when I was 22 years old to represent them. When I turned 23, I told them that I was going to be leaving, back to go to school. But I'll never forget those old council when they told me, don't go back to school. Because we're still trying to figure it out. Because what we're afraid of is that our kids could turn against us if they learn so much of the other side. But I state my case that I needed to go back to school. But I'll never forget the man named Burnett Rope. He tells me, he says, stay, because you have to connect us to the old, from the old ways to the new ways, because our kids are changing. You have to learn from us. You have to stay here. Then he pointed out, he said, he'll give you the degree you need. He'll give you the degree. So, making a long story short, my daughter, Leanne, was going after her degree and wanted her professor to be introduced to me. So we didn't know a lot of the things we've been doing since Mount Graham, like over 30 years ago, has been a part of the institution of all these universities about religious laws. So our work has already was being dissected and used in colleges. So I didn't know Leanne was going to put me in front of 24 doctors all over the world, and I didn't know I was going in for a test. So what I'm really proud about is the day she got her doctor's degree, I got mine. So I asked these guys, wait a minute, I didn't even go to school. How are you giving me a degree? And they said, how do you think the first people got their degrees? Because what you're doing is something that nobody else is doing. It's going to be an instrument to our children. So we, in the educated field, know that you need to have a degree because you're going to battle all these obstacles. And we, the white people, will only take somebody who has a doctor's degree. So now, Mr. Nosy, you can change the world. That's how I got my degree. And I go back to that old man Burnett wrote when he said, he'll give you a degree. So believe me, when the older ones talk, it's so important. And that's why I said, thank you. Thank you for what you've done for me, for here, to bring me to the pains and the suffering of our people. Like my daughter said, I've been all over the place. I've been in Lakota when I went to NCAI for a meeting. Got there late, around 8:30, and I walked in, nothing but natives of this restaurant. Nobody knows me, but when I was walking through there, an old Lakota man stood up and said, hey, just like this, in front of the whole restaurant, hey! And I didn't know who he was talking to, but I kept walking, he goes, hey! And he goes, you! Then he goes, I dreamed of you. I dreamed of you, that this man with a headband was going to walk in. He said, I'm supposed to tell you to go to our sacred mountain. You're not here for this meeting. You're here to go there. It wants you. So little did I know they were going to drop me off and not pick me up. So I'd stayed there a day and a half, asking white people for a jacket or something to cover me. And I'm walking around like, what am I here for? So, whatever it gave me something. I went to Montana, the Cree Rocky Boy. My daughter called me and said, hey, Dad, my daughters will be named in Cree. Can you come up? So we left to Rocky Boy. Big, nice tipi. We got there, we all got in there, we sat in the tipi, and here comes the medicine man. He walks around. And he stops right in front of me, and he goes, why are you here? And I thought, you know, it's this thing again, Indians against Indians, you know, he's the Apache. You know, what is the Apache doing here? And I'm like, oh. So I said, the girl you're gonna name is my granddaughter. Came all the way from Arizona to be here and to name it. He goes, no, that's not why you came here. I said, yeah, that's why I came here. He goes, no, you came to deliver us a message. Because I seen you in a dream. So tell us. And that's when I told him about Oak Flats, what they're doing to these sacred mountains. Then he turned to the whole crowd and he said, listen to him. Because in our belief, when we pass, we go south, but it was told to us that a message was going to come back from the south. And that message of a prophecy is here now. That means we better listen to him. It's a warning. But we were told of this day. These are kind of things that have happened to me. And that's why the other night I said, there's no way I would lead you to a place that will harm all of us. Because you see my children. Because definitely I won't do that to them. I say this thing so you can know me a little bit better. In San Carlos, back in the 70s, we didn't have really anything to tell us about what happened to our people. So I used Chief Joseph, Sitting Bull. I would use those documents to tell my people what happened to us. Because there was nothing in Apache that told us what happened to us. But it began to surface what happened to us. But I'll never forget on that journey going to Washington when we ended up being at Wounded Knee, and it was my birthday, and they sang in Lakota for my birthday. I just cried because almost 8 years of teaching my people about what happened to the northern people. That was a starting of an educational process about our people. Because even our people are blinded. We're taken in and we're blinded. And the only reason why I was so strong at fighting that, because my grandfather, my father, my uncles all drank. My mother used to tell me, that's what they want us to do. Son, please don't drink, please. Because that's what they want us to do. It's not their fault, but that's what they want us to be. Meaning the system, not my grandfather's. So my grandfather Willie used to laugh because I used to say, I'll go home, I'll go home. Because they miss outside of the reservation where they originated from. They would cry, that's what they were crying about going home. And the assimilation is so strong because people don't think sometimes if you don't share it with them. If you were born under 1930, you were a prisoner. So when the Constitution came in for the tribe, after that, you're firstborn reservation. That's how close it is. So I'm firstborn reservation. My mom and my dad, born in the 1920s, were born in a concentration camp. My grandfather walked in as a young child, prisoner. My great-grandfather was fighting for who we are, but was brought in as a prisoner of war. My mother comes to the mountains of where Oak Flat is at. She comes from there. My dad is towards Mount Graham, because he was a Chiricahua Apache. It was so important that my mom reminded us where we came from. And that one day we have to go back. But I go back to a Lakota man that I met in Washington when we were there for a meeting in DC. I helped him out of the taxi cab, and he was so happy for that day because he thought he was going to get good news from Washington. But I always remember halfway through the meeting, we all started piling out. But I was one of the first that started to leave because again, I thought, oh, here we go again, lies. Mumble jumble of words. But when I made my way out, the two older guys were walking back down. So I ran down to help them down the steps. And that man was 75 years old. At that time, I was about 23 years old. And he was crying. He said, they did it to us again. I don't know, he said, and he looked at me and he goes, young man, he goes, I'm 75 and they did it to us again and I'm going home. I don't know what to tell my people. I don't know what to say. But when he got in the taxi cab, he looked at me and he said, don't let that happen to you. So not only did I get this inspirational stuff from San Carlos, it's collectively. And I think that comes from my father passing away, and me used to sit inside the hill and watch these guys play baseball. I was 8 years old, and I didn't know, because my father passed, I didn't know I could play Lele. But that man came over to me and said, hey, are you Elvira's son? I said, yeah. Come on, get a glove. Come on. And I really think from that point on, you know, I really intertwined with community because a lot of men came talk to me. A lot of men stepped up where my father wasn't anymore. And I go back to my grandmother because my grandmother used to take me to Holy Ground. She used to cover me with her camp dress. She used to tell me in Apache, look, listen, listen, listen. So I grew up in that way. So when I look at Tuesday coming, I'll just share with my brother Larry here that I can't wait really for Monday, tomorrow, because I'm going to go sweat. seen a lot of hardship coming here. I feel heavy. So I can't wait for the sweat to clean myself. To be ready so I can focus on what the United States is going to say tomorrow or Tuesday. What's going to happen Tuesday that I've been trying to explain to everybody. Churches, tribal leadership, medicine people, Christians, white people, black people, brown people, Asian people. I mean, I said everywhere in this country for being 64 years old. It's really taken me all over the place. I'm thankful to my family because they put up with me. My son, I told him I was going to be doing something. He says to me, "Oh, Dad, you stop talking. We know. You're not here for birthday parties. You're not here for all these things that we go through, but the family has stood up for you." I tell you, it's like being punched, knocked down, but picked back up really quick to see how the family mobilized behind you. Because if I had a weak family, I definitely won't be here. But that's what my mother built in us, is that you have to pray from the oldest to the very youngest and the ones yet to be born. Because we know sometimes our own kids don't take that road too, but you have to protect them. So anything we do, we have to be from here to here. She used to say that God gave you what you have. Don't give it away. Believe in yourself. Believe in your prayer. She used to say to me, her grandmother used to tell her, when she was going to go, told her, it's a mystery. We don't know. But one thing we do know is that I love you. I raised you. So if you're going to ever pray, don't forget about me. Because I'm the one that took care of you. So when my mom started to lose, because she got really bad dementia, she reminded me, "Son, I'll be up there. Don't forget me." So I left council because I had to find myself after she left. I had to find that backbone that she was for me. So, crossing this country, a lot of people get after me. A lot of different things said to me. Ridicule. Saying you're a man, why are you leading the fight? It should be a woman. Why you? That's the biggest one that I confront. Why you? And the ones that know me, they get hurt. Especially the women in my family. They get hurt because a mother raised me. A mother put me here. So these people who say these things don't even know they're criticizing my mother. That's what she was afraid about, how we would lose the men. Our ceremonies and everything we do is about a woman. It's about the earth. But it's okay, because those are the things we pray about. And that's why it's easy for me to say the things I want to say to the white people, because it's capitalism. It's colonization. So I tell people I'm not stupid. All those people who came from the other side of the world was colonized first and put into a capitalist bucket first. They lost. So I'm going to go to them and find out why they lost. Because we're about to lose. And that's why I tell people around the Indian country that, hey, we're going to all hold this last prayer arrow and let it go. It's not going to be the Indian people, it's going to be all of us. And for some crazy reason, things drop in our hands. Because the biggest one that affects white Americans, African Americans, and Asian Americans. The biggest one that hurts them the most is this fight. And the reason why is because the United States on Tuesday is going to argue that the Indian people do not have a spiritual connection to the mother. That's the fight. Because in our document that was submitted to the United States of testimonies, a white lady from the town of Superior, who comes from a preacher, was raised in the Oak Flat area. So when I showed up at Oak Flats, she walked up to me, she says, "I dreamed about you already." She goes, "There's going to be Apaches coming back, your people. I seen a ceremony. I'm supposed to tell you." So the more we talked to each other, she was talking about our España, the fifth one that moves around the world, the only one that's allowed to move here and there. She talked about that. And she said to me, I don't know why it came to me, but it came to me that's what it's going to take. So I'm supposed to tell you that. And it fit with what my mother was saying. She was saying that we're all dirty already because we touched that colonized world. So she used to tell me it's going to take the spirit world to help us. But it has to trust us too. It has to trust us. So when I went back to Oak Flats, my daughters cried. "Dad, I'm worried about what the mining people are going to do to you. Dad, I'm afraid of what the police is going to do to you." All these worries. But I told her, I said, "Don't worry about that." I said, what we got to worry about is if the spirits accept us back. Because we could be too dirty as well. So my mother used to tell me back a long time ago, the angels were good and they were also tough. She says, I know today they make it sound like it's real, they were always good. No. They were tough on the way the world should be against those who were doing it wrong. So I told her, I said, if I make it, then we have a chance. So down the road, here comes Aunt Jeffrey. She goes, "Hey, I had a dream. The deers came to see you. They're outside your trailer." And I said, "Yeah, they're out there this morning." She said, "Oh, that's good. They're accepting you." She always reminds me of that movie, Thunderheart, where he was upset that the guy had a dream. He wasn't having a dream. He's been on a reservation all his life. So I always laugh. It makes me think of that. But anyway, my point is that her testimony was pulled out. And so just had this funny feeling, and I went through the whole documents and found hers missing. So when I asked the U.S. Forest Service, and I asked, because they had to talk to their attorney, the response back to me was that the only ones that can claim a spiritual encounter on this side of the world called America is the Indian people. The white people and everybody else is not subject to be able to call this a sacred place. So I asked, and you guys call this home? You guys say this is your home? And you have your people with no connection to God? So you're telling me as long as they have a church and a Bible, they're fine? But you can see from that what they cut off those people when they came here. They cut their spiritual belief to know that there's the Spirit. But yet this one lady encountered these spiritual connections, but was denied to be a part of that testimony. So I told the white people, you better join us. Told the black people, you better join us. because this is all of our fight. But once we get disconnected by them, then there's going to be a free fall. Because the one thing they're not talking about is corporations are ready for more exemptions. This is a foreign mining company who got full exemptions from the law. And so every mining, every corporation is waiting in the dark to push their congressional leaders to give them exemptions so they can make more money and make it cheaper. In fact, ruin everything where we live. That's why this fight is your fight. This is why we're here. This is why a day of prayer. Because you're finally going to meet what is evil. That's who you're fighting. They used to tell me, my uncle March Logan, when I was young, they hit over here, but for some reason this side won. But it's going to hit one more time. It's going to come one more time. Then they used to say, hey, but is everybody going to be ready? Are they going to be ready? One more time. So the way I see everything coming together, this is that one more time. But we have to pull strong in our prayers. And I'm praying that everybody I met around this country is going to pray that Tuesday. Because of the minds of the judges, what they're going to decide. But just know, it's not over. In their own process, it's not over. We have one more. And that's going to the Supreme Court. My attorney told me, the way I see it, Winsler, if the United States continues to be ignorant, when they shoot us towards the Supreme Court, in my opinion, he said, you won. And the reason why I'm saying you won is because now Native people can bring their fight to the forefront. And I pray that they come strong. I pray that the Christians come strong. Because this is a day of reckoning coming. But like, it frightens me because if the people are not ready, then this colonized and capitalist way is going to win. And that's where we better prepare for our mother healing itself. Because my mother always told me, don't forget that. Because sometimes us people can be really bad. We're a part of killing the mother. We should know when enough is enough. In the restaurant, Resolution Copper comes in and tells everybody in front of the people, in front of all the people, so this is Mr. Nosy. And he turns to everybody. He's the one that's stopping the jobs. He's the one that's stopping all the money that come to your county, to Arizona, to the country. He's the one. Listed all these crazy stuff. And looked at me and like, what do you got to say about it in front of all these people? I mean, we fall into that. How many kids are we handing our computers to? How many of our kids are getting big now because they're not out there doing what they're supposed to do? We're already 30 years behind in that fight if we're giving that to our kids without any kind of discipline. That's what he was referring to. They're already so far ahead. So I got up and I looked at him and I turned to the people in the restaurant. I said, he's talking about you. He's blaming you. Because he's saying, you don't know when to stop. You want more and more and more. That's what he's saying. He's putting that ugly burden on all of us. That's his excuse. I said, you better listen to what he's saying. Because all this could stop if you make it stop. Let's kind of look at the mural too. What are we doing? Guys got up, left. It was great. These were not natives in the restaurant, and they all clapped. I sat down quietly, focused on my food, saying to myself, I gotta get out of here, gotta get out of here. Got done, went up to pay, and the lady says to me, oh no, everybody wanted to pay for your meal. And they were non-Indians. I go to Oak Flat, I'm there, my tribal members come in, not all of them, most of them. Hey, Winslow, it's gonna rain. I'll stay here a little bit longer, but I gotta go. Hey, Winslow, this basketball game, I got tickets, I gotta go. Most of the white people sleep with me. Sleeping around my tent, camp, here and there. I'm looking at them like, damn, they only had a good leader. If this people only had a good leader, we would be better. They would be better. But no, they stayed, they put their camps. Winslow, are you by yourself? Yeah, I'll stay here another night. But man, mine come in and they're ready to go home. Hey, it's getting cold, better go. So in Oak Flats, taught me a lot. Just the encounters of all these different people. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I just don't come here. I come here like all your struggles and all the things that you experience. I'm just trying to put it together so that we could have a direction, a focus of where we're going. Wow, with all you guys that I met, you know, Darrow up north, the mountains, San Francisco Peaks, you know, the Lakotas, all in the northwest, taking me to where the Missouri, the water, Mississippi, taking me to the headwaters to go pray. Meeting the first people that were colonized. We were there for our meeting, and when they were recognized, that they talked about being the first to deal with Christopher Columbus. When it came to me, I was just focused on her. And I was like, they go, Mr. Chairman Nosey, it's your turn. I'm like, wow, it's an honor to meet you. I said, the wars ended in my land and I'm meeting where it started. And we just started talking. And then they stopped me and they said, you gotta talk. I said, no, I am talking. I said, I didn't even know that exists. I'm so happy to see you. And then when I spoke to Obama on this issue, I know it looks good. You see all these people sitting in a round table, going to talk to Obama. To sit in those chairs was 72,000. I didn't know that. I thought we were going to meet with the President of the United States. And they told me, well, Mr. Nosey, Chairman Nosey, where's your check? I said, check? Yeah, it's 72,000. So if you're a tribe that doesn't have a lot of money, 72,000 is a lot. So I didn't know what to do, but it was the Seminoles. The chairman came up to me and said, your issue is more crucial than mine. You take my seat. And that's how I got into the meeting to meet President Obama. But what was crazy was there was about 82 chairs. All these tribal leaders decked out in three-piece suits, looking nice, and business people. But in the tribes, there were only 5 tribes there. The rest were all mixture of everybody else. Kind of dressed like this when I went to the meeting, and I kind of dressed like this. So, but the thing about it was, when Obama came in, he gave a 30-minute speech. Then they told us they're only picking 8. Only 8. So when Obama was done talking, he said, okay. As soon as he said that, I can't believe it. It's like, are kids having fun? Well, these leaders all jumped on the table. Hey, hey, hey. And I got more impressed with the people jumping on the table that looked so smart and looked so good. I was like, dang, this is not happening. So the first pick he made, I was okay with it. The second pick, the third, then I started to think about my people back home. Because now we're down to like the 6th pick that he made. And I'm looking at myself, I'm like, man, the way I look right now, he might not even pick me. But I ain't jumping on this table. I mean, people were going way out of their way. And not to be mean, but to be honest, this lady threw her boobs on the table. And he picked her. And she really didn't have much to say. And I'm like, okay, you know, these are the things that are challenging when you're talking to the president. So I just started to pray. I said, I don't know why I'm here. I don't even know why. But this other tribe gave up their seat for me. So we count down, I said, I just leave it in your hand. You don't want to talk to me? It's okay. But I know. So I stayed in my seat. So finally he turned around and he looked, last pick, and he picked me. And I was so proud because I guess the thing I was more proud about that meeting was I didn't throw myself on the table, I didn't show any part of my body.
Peace.
I was respectful. And I got picked. So what I'm saying is, he knew. But when John McCain put the late night rider in the National Defense Bill, he has 7 days to argue anything that he doesn't like in that. He signed it the second day. So I knew we were in trouble, both from the Democrats and Republicans. I knew we were in trouble. So all of that leads me here. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you, Gloria. When I first came, you're very important to all of us. Very important. And you mean so much to me. Because those doors were very hard to open. It was not easy. Not easy. But because all of you guys are praying in your own way, open those doors. But now we have a greater door to open. And if it doesn't open, it's going to open itself. So the way I see it is the Creator is giving them an opportunity one more time. Then if not, then if we have to go to the Supreme Court, then our voices have to rise to a level it's never been before.
Yes.
But it has to be spiritual. Because anything you do, when it's right, you get spit on. You get yelled at. You get fingers at you. They've been telling me, hey, go home. Remember what we did to Geronimo. Go home. Go home. My little granddaughter standing beside me, why did we do this? Just that second when we got yelled at, the little white girl in the back of the truck was looking at us and going, I said, that's why we do it. Because that little girl is going to ask her parents, hey, what they doing? And that's why it's so important we take the opportunity to talk to as many as people that we can. Because it's all of us. So I really want to thank you. Today's a day of prayer. I want to get back to that. I don't care if I sit here all day. It's what it's about. It's about. Put your prayer, because it's about mother, the mother, not the son. It's about the mother. That's what this court case is all about. That's what the United States is going to argue. Last but not least, we have 3 natives that are going to testify against us that joined the United States to talk against native religion. I'll let you decide what you think. But the United States has went as far back to use the divide and conquer. They don't have the churches supporting them. The churches are staying out of the United States, but they're joining us. But the United States did pick up a northern, mid, and a southwest native person to speak against us. So it goes back to all our histories where it turned our people against us.
Yes.
And now you have one of the last, probably the last fight in religion, and they're using our own people. So, but I'll leave that to you when you hear their position. So with that, I really want to thank you for listening to me and giving me the opportunity. And again, this is a day of prayer, but I just wanted to lay it out there why we're here and what the journey has been. So that you, if not here, wherever you are, connect your prayers with the mother. With the mother. Thank you. Yeah.
It's nice and cool too. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's Sunday, March 19th. If you're just joining us, we're live in Pasadena with the Apache Stronghold.
Line in. Trying to avoid that happening. I would like to invite up, we have some relatives who traveled from very far, the Lummi people. So I'd like to invite up one of our relatives who's going to share some words and a presentation. So. And thank you again. I just want to acknowledge, if you didn't already notice, this beautiful, powerful, amazing, huge totem. It's right behind us, across the way, and they've been on a journey. I know Apache Stronghold has shared about it. It's also, you can learn about their whole journey. It's very extensive and impressive, so we're very blessed to have them here.
Siam, Nishtalacha Siam, Sohila Quinisanat Tacho Tika Siam, Nishtalacha, Sokadab, Sanasnat. It's true, my heart is glad to be here with each and every one of you, from the youngest to the oldest, thanking the Creator for blessing us and blessing each and every one of you for taking this breath of time to be here, to stand in solidarity, to set our tribal differences aside, no matter who we are, where we come from. We're all indigenous to Mother Earth. We're all here as protectors. My Indian name is Sokadab. I'm Clactamish. Lummi is the reservation. You know us as Lummi Indians, but we're Clactamish. Just like to thank the family. I'd like to thank the ancestors that are here with us, protecting all of our relatives here, thanking the trees for protecting us, praying for our Mother Earth. Thank you, Winsler, for your words. Siam, Siaya, thank you. Your words are very powerful. And when we heard the call back on October 16th, when we traveled with the Sovereignty Run, we passed through Oak Flat. Never been there, seen that it was a campground, and drove through it the first time when we went to Globe for Apache Days. But they said that's where the sacred is. And so, just to bring you there for a moment, on October 16th, it was thundering and lightning. We were standing at Gila River, and the pool was shut down. That's how bad the thunderstorm was there. And it was no joke. When we got there that morning, and we were asked to stay still. And we sat there and we learned and we listened. Just a little bit more. Learning the relatives, learning the land. And so, while the Spirit is here, and hearing our relatives that are been following us since February 27th, all the way from Coopville, Washington, to the Healing Circle in Langley, to our relatives in the islands, Lummi Island, Lopez Island, San Juan Island, Orcas Island, Shaw Island, all of our relatives from Lower Elwha Sklallam Territory, to the legacy forest they're trying to save out there, to our relatives in East Shore, Unitarian, our Universalist relatives that opened their doors and invited us into their sanctuary, into their home. Thank all the sacred sites we traveled to, all the ancestors that were there listening to us, whispering in our ears, talking to us in the wind as we traveled here. The staff has traveled to New Zealand, to the Maori territory, and back. It's traveled over 4,000 miles just here to be with you, to be with our family, to have the prayers, and to hear the prophecies that were instilled upon from our relatives back at home. And they weren't nice. They were real. And Uncle Jim Thomas back on Lummi Island, he shared with all the Holanitams that were there that day. And he said, do you know what's coming? Do you know that it's going to be the Indian people that are going to help you survive? He said, did you know that? He said, that's what our Indian people have been doing since the Holanitams helped them survive the winters, helped them survive to have their first Thanksgiving. Oh my gosh. To help. That's all we've ever done, our people. We signed treaties in a good way. In a good way, our ancestors. And for what? We're a treaty tribe. January 22nd, 1855, 167 years ago. I'm a former council member. I love my Lummi people. I love all my elders and all. My father was a veteran. And we come here in a good way with Sitka Kadam and Siamawit, with the totem from Sasiat. He sends his love and his blessing and his prayers to each of you. If you don't already know this, it's an awareness campaign. People are always saying, are you woke? You know, all these millennials are woke all of a sudden. Wow. Yeah. He, him, her, it, I don't know whether I'm coming or going when I step into that. But we're here. You're present. The blessing of all of our ancestors and the good words, the prayers from all our beloved that put the pastors, the young people, those that were trying to protect their forests, those canoe families. I haven't even made none of that even live. I haven't even shared it. It's just been so powerful until this moment. And Siamawit and Sitka Kadam and Ronnie and Junior were here, and Buster. But since the phone is ringing, it's like the woodpecker earlier. I want each of you, because I remember what Winsler said in one of his speeches, is that we're all family now. So I want you to turn to the person in front of you, behind you, introduce yourself. If you don't know them already, if you feel like giving them a hug, But we're all family now, so take these few moments, yeah, and just introduce yourself. If you don't know your LA family here, just please take this moment and say hello to your neighbor, to your ally, to your family, to your relative here. Siam Siaya. Come up and shake the hand of the elder here that's hosting here. Just give her some love. If you feel moved, Siam Siaya. Hey, Siam.
No.
So I better.
It's okay.
All right, all right, all right. Again, Haishka Siam. Again, thank you, Winsler. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Dr. Leon. Just want to give a few moments. Our Uncle Seki Kadam is one of the James brothers who carved the totem. At the top is a raven. Raven and coyote. You can see the coyote in gray. And the raven, he's holding the moon. This part of the moon, these things happen, but it's the latter part of the moon here that we're in. And so the raven and the coyote and a lot of our stories sometimes bring knowledge. They always have a story. And then sometimes they're tricksters. So you could see the Quahomachtin, we call him Quahomachtin, the orca at the bottom, diving in at the bottom. And I think it kind of looks like the coyote's trying to hold on to the tail of the orca there. But Uncle Sikikadam, he just got the copper all shined up, and he put a fresh paint on. But you know, the totem I mentioned yesterday is like a Trojan horse. And like the Trojan horse, you know, it's coming in, sharing the awareness. People will see it. People will pray on it. They've been used for healing, for honor. They've been used for awareness, to protect sacred sites, to protect the tar sands up at Beaver Lake Cree, to protect the rivers. And so the totem, in the words of Sasyat, is not what's sacred. What's sacred is right here, right now. All of you here, listening to the words, carrying the message. All of you young people, I hope you're listening. I hope that you have one ear open and it goes. It lets you know why we're sitting right here, right now, under the umbrella here. Because when all these are gone, when you clear cut a mountain, the mountain's gonna fall. You might call them mudslides here in Southern California. I'd hate to start defining these things to the unwitting ear or eye, or you see if you destroy a rainforest. But just in our journey here, this is very dangerous work. And down in Ecuador, is brought to our attention on the last stop before we came here of the death of an Ecuadorian indigenous. And some of you might have heard the story, but I have to say something because I let them know it was a government sanction. It was the government's oil company. And so now his 20-year-old son has taken the reins of his young father's legacy. And so it's true. Do I know what Pegasus is? Do you know what Pegasus is? Do you know how they use the technology to use our phones? How they follow you? How would they have known where he was without his family? Because so the government. Am I marked? Got one right here for the Jolenitams in the front, and then I got one here in the back for my Indian people, because sometimes we get stabbed in the back too. It's true. We know that. But again, I love each and every one of you. We come here in a good way, with a good heart. Thank you, relative. Thank you for opening the, opening this. Look at what you've done here. And we all have just a little part of just this little walk. And just like Windsor said, it's not done. It's not done. Somebody else in Thacker Pass. Somebody else up at the Snake River. Somebody else is fighting uranium. Is fighting cancer in their community. Their river is dying. Who's standing up for the river? What does this all have to do with me? And all of us, because we're all related. We're all related. Just as the relative says here. We're now family. What does family do? Hey, you know what? I'm number 11 of 12, and they call me spoiled, and they call me the brat. But you know what? I took care of my mom and dad all their life. That was my job in my family. I have no children. I am two-spirited. So sometimes we're on the front lines ready to help stand with our families. And what are we protecting? Why do we protect our women and children? Why do you think that our warriors and our two-spirited back in the day were on the front lines protecting? It's because they're life givers. Because they remember the story. They remember, in me, I was raised by my mother. Just as the brother here reminded me. Doesn't make me any less than a man, I'll let you know that. But it also lets me know that when you see me cry, it's to know that my mother's teachings still live in my heart. That's it. That is when you see a man cry. That's when you know his mother still lives in his heart. That is how we are taught. And so just these few words, Siaya, thanking the elders, thanking the parents, the grandparents, thanking the great-grandparents, the young community leaders, the future congressmen, the future mayor, the future superintendent, the future commissioner, the future secretary of the interior might be right here, right now. Thank you. Siam Siaya. Just these few words. Eh, Siam.
Siam, Nistalacha Siam, Sitki Kim, Sonasnat. Nistalas, Siamowit. Our little ones here is Junior and Ronald. Like Calcada was saying, we're Clactamish. We come from the San Juan Islands, is where our people lived years ago. Our ancestors were from the islands there. I just want to share a little bit of our journey. You know, we've been on this journey road for going on 22 years now. And it all kicked off at 9/11 when that all happened. My brother was in D.C. lobbying at the time, him and two others, you know, and they ended up driving all the way back home to the back to our homeland there. And we got to kicking it, you know, what could we do as a small nation to reach out to a devastated country? And they came up with that idea about carving a pole and bringing it across and call it the Healing Pole Journey. All we're doing is asking people to come forward and put their hand on the pole, let your cry go, and send a prayer across country. Yeah, we've been put on this trail for a lot of different reasons, you know, the coal trains, oil pipelines, for strip mining, you know, coal ports, on and on and on. Whatever stood up with the CIA, the Cowboy Indian Alliance, you know, and so we just want to share a little bit of the spirituality of this pole journey. 2 years ago when we went to D.C. on the Red Road to D.C., we had a gathering out in the San Juan Island. And after that gathering, we had an elder lady from the Swinomish Nation come up to us and said that the spirit that's in this pole wants me to tell you this, that it's male. It's a male tree. And that it's 400 years old. And he said all the female carvings that were on that pole, he's going to watch over. You know, it's for the lost, murdered and missing and murdered our Native Indian women. You know, again, you know, the spirituality was confirmed in Yakima. We had a gathering in Yakima Nation there. An elder gentleman that had the eyes and ears to hear also came to me and he says, the spirit in this pole here wants me to tell you this. When it was a sapling in the woods, it knew it was going to be here today, 400 years later. The spirit hasn't gone away. It's here with everything that's around us. Every one of these trees are alive and they're listening to everything that's happening here. The water has memory. It's really important not to be angry at our loved ones. When you scream and holler at them, you're hurting the water within us. It gets offended. So when you talk to your water, you appreciate it. The water just wants to be appreciated. So it's really important, you know, that we learn to reach out with kind hearts and kind words. And if you take water and have bad thoughts and dirty words to it, freeze it and see what happens. But when you say, I love you, I appreciate you, play really good music to it, then freeze it and see what happens. It turns out to be really crispy, beautiful ice. Anyway, all I'm saying is that the spiritual parts of these journeys are real. When we were heading to Standing Rock with a totem pole that went up to Winnipeg, when we left Seattle and down to Portland and headed across to Missoula, we had this message that came to us, and he said that when we left Seattle, he said Chief Seath and other entities that are with him are traveling with us. They're in the pole. The only way I can understand or explain how this is happening is from the DNA connection with Seath and my brother Seath as we come off that line from Chief Seath's sister. He said they're going to Standing Rock with you, and they're protecting you along the highways. When they go into the first past the first police barricade, he says, when they go into the Standing Rock campgrounds, he said they're going to come out of the pole, and he said that pole is like a Trojan horse. He said they're going in COVID, but they're going to join the ancestors in the spiritual realm above Standing Rock and battle against the black snake in the spiritual realm. We looked down from above and we seen all of you doing a dance in the campground in Standing Rock, and that's exactly what we did around the pole. The next morning, we went up to Bismarck that night, and the next morning my brother Seath and I got up and went down and I grabbed the newspaper and sat down. And here's a picture of our pole on the front page of the Bismarck. There was a caption at the bottom of that picture. There was only 3 of us that knew about the Trojan horse. There was a caption at the bottom of that picture that said it's like a Trojan horse. You know, so the Spirit's moving across this country. We got off that journey from that time, you know, and I was invited to go to the Black Hills for a prayer gathering up in the Black Hills. For the whole weekend, Saturday we prayed all that day. Sunday we're in prayer there, and there was a Sioux chief that came through the door there and into the tent, and he said the same very words that I felt when we first went into that camp, that area, saying that the blood is still dripping there. All those that fought and died for that land were still there. And that's the same thing that chief said when he came through the door. He said, oh, praise God, the blood is still dripping here. For all those that died are still here. He said, I want the whole congregation to get up right now and start praying for their release. And as we're all praying like that, he looks up and he starts praising the Lord. And he said, the void is just open. All those are set free. They were lifted up, he said. And after a few minutes later, you know, he looks up again like that and he says, oh, praise the Lord, he says, there's a void that just opened. And he said that the sleeping giant is awakened. The sleeping giant is awakened. He said that sleeping giant are the native people. When they come together in droves, this country is never going to be the same. So we've been witnessing across this country how all the people are starting to unite together. And that's all we ever been doing, is just saying, "Ait swallowing. Swallowing, to come together with one heart and one mind. Swallowing. That saying came from a whale that laid her life down upon our beaches in the early 90s, and she left a song with us, and it was called the Swallowing song. And that's the one we used across this country at 9/11, just calling people to come together with one heart and one mind. Come together and pray together. So Caleb says, that pole wasn't sacred. It wasn't sacred. That was just a piece of wood we carved. What was sacred is when you came together and prayed together is what was sacred. And it worked. You started uniting people together. So we just want to thank the ancestors for allowing us to come and share a breath of time and mix our tracks with them, and also with each and every one of you. Saying Haishka, Haishka to the Spirit, Haishka to the Creator for allowing this breath of time to come together, because it starts in the grassroots. Winsler, you can come forward, brother.
Peace.
I never met this man before in my life until last year. My wife and I share a great grandson. My grandson got together with his high school sweetheart, and she was White Mountain Apache. They had a baby together, and I was introducing him to Winsler. This is my little great grandson, and he got to talking with the mother of this one, and they found out they're relatives.
Yes.
So that's how the Spirit works. He's tying us all together. We share bloodline together with that little man. He took his bracelet off his arm and went over and put it on that little baby's arm and squeezed it and said, one day, he's telling his father, you tell this little man where this came from. Because that bracelet went to a lot of powerful gatherings and a lot of ceremonies. I can't thank you enough for claiming him. I thank the Creator, I can't thank the Creator enough on our behalf, that He allowed us to stand in unity here today. Standing as brothers. And so this feather was given to us from a gentleman that found us on the west shore of the Elawa beaches. And he had it beaded. So the beading is the beginning of the trail, not the end, the beginning. And I want to give this to Winsler, because it goes on forever. And so this is where unity begins throughout all Indian country. In 2013, I had this lady came and told me of this vision that the Lord showed her. Said it's like I was standing on the freeway, and I'm looking north, and I seen hordes of Native people coming across that border in full regalia, coming down into the United States. The movement has already started in the spiritual realm. Now it's in the physical. We're all here and claiming that prophecy is to just believe. It says all we have to do is believe, and we can save the mountain, not move it. So I want to thank you, Winsler, for sharing that breath of time with us. This handshake came from my older brother when we're just laying him down into his final resting place. My younger brother that carved this pole here, he said, bro, Joel just showed this to me. He went like this, tapped his heart, and he says, I'm backing you from the heart. Brings two circles of life together, not above, not below. It creates the figure, the 4 directions, and it creates the figure 8, which is the infinity. He said it's the infinity handshake. I'm backing you up from the heart forever. Oh.
One more song. Yeah. One more. Before they sing this song, you talk about timing.
Yes.
Oh, spirit's moving there.
What was told to us and what was told to me from my mother is to go back to the holy places. You have to take your body. You have to run. That's how I started with my kids about 40 years ago. The running has took us back into the sacred places. Got yelled at, screamed at, go back home. What are you doing? You're crazy. Tell my kids, they don't know what is coming. For you to come in this way when a feather is 15.
Yes, yeah.
Goes back to my mother, that's why.
Oh.
This is all for the ones that left. This song, all for the ones that have left. It's up to us now. get Brenda? So you get Brenda? Ronaldo? Okay, you get Let me turn it over to Ronaldo for an introduction. I just want to say that, these feathers, one feather comes from Alaska that was sent to me with what's going on in Alaska right now. So the people sent it down from Alaska. One of the feathers came from the north, what's happening from the north. And now I get this feather, what's happening from the east coast and what's happening. One is a condor was given to me from South America.
Yes, him.
Because they said the condor and the eagle was supposed to meet at this time. So in hearing my words, they brought me a condor and said I got to carry it because it represents the people in the South. And then one comes from England. And they say the movement in America, so Polish lady brought me that was sent and blessed with our people from the mountains of Poland, from Europe. And I know these aren't mine. This is all of us. I know it's to pray with what's happening all over the world. So, yes, for those who don't understand, it's a gift of prayer. It's a gift to continue. It's not like a personal gift to you. It's a responsibility. So I just want to thank, it's just added to the arsenal of all the people crying and all the people praying all over the world. So this is what this is. So thank you.
I just probably want to stand here and just cry. No, this is it. It's been such a journey. I'm here to introduce one of our relatives, but I just wanted to say a few words because in this journey to get here today or this morning, sometime during this night, everything just fell in front of us to not be here. Everything fell. As always, when you try to do good, from the goodness of your heart, from thinking about the good in everything around that Creator made, there's always the yin and yang, the black and white. There's always going to be bad. The bad's always there. Not to be angry about it stopping you from doing good, but it's testing you too, is what I've learned. It's testing you to make sure that you're doing things the most respectful and responsible way. And it's kind of a hard path to walk for everybody, not just me, Winsler, and all the everybody else that are leaders of the organizations here. It's a hard thing to do, just be a good person and to live and to think fair and to think about love and to think and be thankful, because everybody else seems to get in front of you to test you, to not make you angry at them, to not make you say words that will hurt them or kill them. Because in our culture, from what I'm taught in my family, is that you be careful with what you say. Words can kill. And it's something that has to be practiced and lived. Not just practiced, but it has to be a part of yourself, your wholeness. And it's been I think I'm being filmed and videotaped or whatnot, so I can't say more harsh words. But there's a four-letter word that starts with the S, and then you end with the show. It's been that way to the 1,000% for a while now. Politically, spiritually, just things dropping in front of us to make me feel pain here, my stomach, my chest, my shoulders, my neck, pain, and just, people around you that you're trying to take care of, parents, aunties, cousins, uncles, just families, just your neighbors. And it's just, the test has been so incredible lately. But with this test and this path that we're walking, that I'm walking, that we're all walking, somehow we're here. Ramon and his grandson are here, even though there's like 10 things that happened to them this morning to fly here on a simple 1-hour flight from Arizona. You know, and prior to that, I was like on an hour and a half of sleep. And I just can't begin to tell you, there's all kinds of things out there that are trying to stop what we've been doing for all these years. And all we've had that has been guiding us is prayer. Gathering in the notion and the thought of healing, and the thought of like how love feels, how good being happy and healthy and having that love, having that positivity, all of that, having a family or creating a family. If you're alone, this is family here. And all these years, corporations, the corporate world has been trying to stop us. And all we've been doing is praying. Praying, giving thanks for all the many blessings for life, and giving thanks for all the things that we're continued to be guided in to do. Everything that we're doing, we do the best responsibly and in a respectful manner, beginning and ending in prayer. And that's all that's been driving us in this whole thing. And for a reason, everyone here, there's a reason why you're here today. You know, there's a reason why you're volunteering, feeding everybody, making sure everybody's drinking stuff, and sharing your chairs, sharing the rocks that you're sitting on, the boulders, sharing your restrooms, sharing this beautiful space under this tree, sharing your city, your towns, your governments, your organizations, just your presence. It means so much to me that I just, everywhere I go, wherever I pray and dance, I think of everything. I think of everybody here. Even though I don't know some of you here, or a lot of you. You guys matter. Every one of us has a specialness in us that Creator made, that in this world, in this human form that we're in, it's up to us to find out what that is. And, you know, I think something brings us together here. And I forgot to mention who I am or what I do, but I'm the San Carlos Apache Tribe's archaeologist, historic preservation officer of the Historic Preservation and Archaeology Department I started after I finished my master's in applied anthro, degree in this realm, English, music, and cultural anthropology. And I've been working with Winsler. Winsler's been my boss too, as past chairman. And I created this department because I thought the best way to take care of our Apache culture, coming from a traditional person, learning to speak my Apache language first and English being my foreign language, which I clept out of, 16 credit hours in 30 minutes. That's the best thing I ever did, I think, in school, because I proved that English was my foreign language in my field. But we've done, this department for my tribe I thought it was best to have a traditional person schooled in white man's way, and meshing it together to manage our own resources and our lands, within our reservation boundaries of 1.8 million acres, and also pretty much 3/4 of the state of Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and Oklahoma. And then we also have ancestors in prison that passed in Florida when they were in prison there. So my job deals with, and this is going to be kind of introducing the person that I'm supposed to be introducing pretty soon again, is to take care of archaeological, prehistoric, ancestral sites, the remains of ancestors, the remains of the elders, our children, medicine men, and people that were in boarding schools that passed away, people that were taken from the reservations, from relocation that are passed away or just somewhere in a cemetery or off to the side of the road in an unknown marked grave. It's my responsibility to work with museums, educational institutions, you know, to bring them home, to bring items like these home because they're stored, you know, put numbers put on them, stored in a box or in some kind of closet somewhere with a bunch of pesticides so that, you know, things won't form on it. So that's the arena I work in, and it's really takes a toll on your heart. It takes a toll on your body because to see stuff like this, to be in a facility somewhere boxed or housed, it's just not right. So that's just a little bit of my job. The rest is taking care of landscapes and sacred sites and holy places. And that's what's, you know, and being from a traditional family, I've done my whole life. And in partnership with Winsler and in seeing what he stood up for, supported by his entire family, you know, with Mount Graham getting arrested for having a ceremony that for his granddaughter, you know, that's to be leading our people, our community one day, to be arrested, you know, was just so, made me so angry. So I just made a choice to not follow just the politics of my government. I do, I have to, but I also know that I'm a responsible Apache traditional woman, and I need to listen to that. I need to support that. I need to see more, support more, read more, write more. And we've been working for 30 years, or more than 30 years. I think I'm 29 and he's 31. I'm 49 actually, and I'm not ashamed to say that because I love my life. I love every single bit of day and everything about it. You know, being really poor. I had an awesome life, and I still do to this day, even though it's gone through ups and downs. But in this journey with Winsler, it's been such everything's fallen into place. People have come together like this. Children, like Shayu right there, the little one, stood there right now, dancing next to Melvin, her oldest sister. Then she held her hand out for blessings. She's just 2 years old. That's somebody to fight for, you know? Children right here, children that are all around us over here, all worth fighting for. Elders with the whitest of the whitest hair, beautiful. Everybody in between, you're all worth fighting for to me. You know? No matter who you are, what kind of life you've lived, you know, I love it. I love every bit because you teach me. And it gives me the energy to stand up here to say things to you, to one person, to 20 other people, to 2,000 people, to the government, to the White House, the Congress, United Nations, because I've done all that. And sometimes, you know, I always joke with Windsor, nobody's here to pat me on the back, you know? So I humbly say, doing all of that, I humbly say it because there really is nobody there. But, you know, that was something I used to think. But now I know that I'm not alone physically. I'm not alone spiritually because things have fallen into place. And it just makes me more energized. It makes me continue, it makes my light stronger. You know, it makes my light stronger for everybody in the darkness to see that my light's not just me, it's Creator God, it's Yusin, it's love, it's you guys, you know, shining through and be seen to all the people that make themselves my enemy or our enemy. All this light there's love for them too, and they can see that light. There's been so much spiritually heavy things going on, so much, And I just continue to think about how it really takes a lot of energy to stand up against it, or stand up and still dance, and to sing, and to beat the drum, burn the stage. Just sometimes it's even hard to just get up out of bed because it's so heavy and it hurts. But I just think of these days. And yesterday at 5 o'clock, I was at Oak Flat with my niece. And it was, the ground looks like this right now. And green grasses. I was touching a huge tree, and it was one of our emery oak trees that produce acorn. I was touching it, and I was thinking, it feels so strong, so full of life, and it's deeply rooted, and it's so huge like this. And you know, I just said I'm doing my best. We're doing our best to stand for just the goodness of the food that you produce, the shade you produce. Then there was water trickling in front and through the area that we all gather. That was yesterday at 5 o'clock, and the water was cold, and there was more water flowing from the boulders, from the mountains around. It looks just like this right now at Oak Flat yesterday at 5 o'clock. And it was just beautiful. But when I touched the tree, I felt its energy. I felt the strength. And I said, we're doing our best. Hopefully, the judges, the courtroom, the building, the city, the people remember and feel all this. The water flowing, the ground, the tree, the trunk that I was touching. It's just overwhelmingly strong, beautiful, full of life. That's what we're here for. And give thanks, not that we pray to the tree as a god, you know, it's what we're told sometimes that we do. We pray to Creator who made these things, Creator God, and we give thanks, even in the Christian way, to, you know, God the Father and Jesus. You know, they're all equally one thing. And we pray and give thanks for their blessings, Creator's blessings in making all of this. And I don't know how people don't understand that. We give thanks for what Creator, God, the Lord, God, you know, God the Father, Jesus, you know, the Virgin Mary, the angels, all these good spirits, what they created for us. We give thanks. And that's, I think, a thing that's common that we all can agree on. I don't know how people don't understand that. We need this. We're not going to be going somewhere to another world. You know, there's not going to be a place like this again in our lifetime. And that's why we come here in the state of the world that we're living in. All these things that are happening, snow on these mountains here. Snow on, I think I saw snow on the Hollywood sign. Was there snow? Probably snow on the beaches. I don't know. There could have been. And there's, you know, snow on where we're living in, you know, in some parts that never get snow. And then the sun is out with in Maryland, in Philadelphia. It was the 70s last week because I have friends there that live there. It was just, they were just wondering, you know, is the world going to end pretty soon because it should be snowing and freezing over there. This is the state of the world that we're living in. And, you know, in the field that I'm in, the work that I do, we consider all these things. We consider that when there's a road project. We consider that when there's a dam project. We consider that when there's proposed land exchanges, just like this one, that creates this damage, desecration. And I just, you know, wanted to say that all the songs that were sung, I mean, right now, and it's just real, you know. I don't know how else to say it's for real. And, you know, in Christian ways, when I think it says, when two or more people gather together in God's name, God's with us. You know, the holy ones are with us. The spirits are with us. look how many are gathered here in God's name, or Creator's name, your sin's name. And Creator's among us overwhelmingly. And it just, it makes me feel good. It's re-energizing. And I'm just happy to see, the volunteers, everybody that's been part of our circle, new friends like Christine here. Christine, there's like an organization that she's with where their first meetings was it Women Forgers of SoCal that started here, and it just so happens that we're here in this park, and she's come here full circle. I mean, it's happening in all different kinds of organizations out there, where some way and somehow things are coming together. Things are bringing us together again, and it's just funny because Christine comes from Ellicott, back east, and then she's here, but it's just overwhelming. And she's side note asking for a acorn powder too, so it's a different acorn that we have, but it's just beautiful to talk to everybody. And I'm going to introduce a fellow colleague, but also a person who's part of the support for Mount Graham that's known Windsor for all these years, and they've stood for Mount Graham, and he's actually stood and looked at for all the things that he does. He's a spiritual person. He also is, and I think that most of the time they don't like to be said this way, but he does a lot of things ceremonially for men in Apache ways, and he's from the White Mountain Apache tribe. His name is Ramon Riley, and he's a cultural specialist and the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act representative too for the White Mountain Apache tribe. Ramon.
Real quick, before Ramon gets his talk, his speech, and his thing, I'm going to just go over the agenda. Ramon is talking. After Ramon will be the runners, and then after the runners will be Larry Foster. I just want to do a quick agenda so I can go on my potty break. This is Ramon Riley from White Mountain Apache.
Hey. So there, hey, kono hone yai. Just because on was in hone ya. The chain, there was only when ya was stay when ya. You're gonna live hone ya. It's calm. Oh yeah, no, start less. Then he, which I don't call you, stay less. Just because onion was Shaw, Ramon Riley was there. And there's now you, the Saha was there, which I am, and then she, and I should tell, which I you 10 of the jugger. I had a young got there on a kind of showing it. I saw the corner of honey yard. I didn't just see. I on all the just did so. Har du en sted om det nu? Tack. När det står sen jag bort. Okay, my name is Ramon Riley. It's good to be here. It's good to be asked to either say a word, pray, or sing a song. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk a little bit about my background. I come from a clan called the Saha, from my mom's side. We are people of matrilineal people. It's who you are, who your mom is what they say. And so for my dad, he's an Eagle clan, Tenodajaga. So it's good to be here. I work at Fort Apache Culture Center. Fort Apache, Arizona. You heard about it before? Yes. John Wayne's never been there though, you know.
We were prisoners of war until 1922, not too long ago. And the reason why we're here, the reason why I'm here, I've been fighting for the Holy Land in our country and our reservation. We have several mountains surround us. And there's laws out there, federal government laws, that says it can't be protected. And that's what I do. I've been fighting for Apache freedom since 1995. So I came here, like I said, for a reason. I think I'm the only one that fights for my reservation, maybe a fetal from my reservation. But I thought I'll go ahead and join, come here and tell it like it is. So I brought my grandson with me. My grandson, he comes from the Chiricahua people, and is from the matrilineal side, Mangus, Colorado, his sister. That's where the family comes from that. And so he has the family history to prove it. He's got it with him right now. So just to let you know, we come here because we believe that our land was stolen. Everything was stolen from us. And that's why I've been fighting. I'll be retiring pretty soon. I'll be 81 years old, 82 years old in April 24. So before I retire, one more, I want to do something for the tribe, trying to protect our sacred mountains, the holy mountains. And I've been working with Renaldo and for the Oak Flat. I know what Winsler has been doing, the same thing that some of us are doing, protecting our land, our holy land. So I surveyed as a Cultural Resource Director, Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act representative for the White Mountain Apache tribe. I'm able to do these things. And so I went and surveyed all the mountains that surrounds us, the sacred site, the holy places. And we do this, but still people with a big conglomerate company, people with money, they're the ones that turn our people against us. Our own people are against us sometimes. So it's sad, and we need your prayers tomorrow. We want the law that was made when the reservation was established, a federal law, is still powerful because they find powerful attorneys to find the loopholes to try to fight us. But we need prayers tomorrow, so please help us today. And, with that, I'm going to go ahead and sing a song. It's a horse song. There's many songs of Apache songs, and horse has been our transportation for many, many years. But I came in a plane. The bad words are against me, so we missed our plane this morning.
Nice.
And we caught another flight to Ontario, and we came from there, and we haven't slept yet. That's okay.